recording. All right, we'll start with the blind painters today. And now I'll do the screen share. There you go. So no wonder no one said anything. Okay. Totally forgot. As I said, what's in a name? I'm always fascinated by people's last names. Sometimes we'll say something about what they do, what they're good at, or some aspect. And Keith Salmon, and what immediately struck me is, I heard this before, that salmon are prone to blindness, particularly in the summer when they get cataracts. So it affects fish too. Cataracts affect fish. So what's her name?
So you were saying that fish go blind?
Yeah.
When the cataracts get bad enough?
Salmon do.
Sorry?
Salmon do. They have a propensity.
Salmon, just salmon, not other fish.
Oh, it doesn't say other fish. But yeah.
Huh.
I know.
Wow.
And when I saw his name, I thought, don't salmon have blind vision issues, or don't they go blind or something? I don't know where I heard that before.
I never heard it.
Okay. Let's see. Keith Salmon is a British fine artist. He does semi-abstract Scottish landscapes. Let's see. My eyesight started to fail. So he was born with sight. I quickly realized I have to reinvent myself as an artist. I tried all sorts of ways of working, but gradually turned to painting using large brushes to create fairly abstract works based on the urban landscape of my hometown, Irvine, and its surrounding countryside.
Irvine.
Yeah. So, sample of his work.
Does it say when he went blind? Was it before he was?
Yeah, somewhere. Well, I think it does somewhere.
Yeah, it's interesting because Lynott was not always blind.
Yeah. No, he was born with vision, so the Keith Salmon was.
Does somebody tell him what the colors are before he uses them?
There's another video, so let's see.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, they have a Turner-esque quality to them.
Yeah. Oh. Oh my goodness.
I think I got another video. Oh, that's the same one. Mistake.
Scottish.
Yeah. So he was born in 59 and 89. So when he was 30, he moved back to Wales. Around this time, I was diagnosed as having diabetic retinopathy. My sight deteriorated really quite quickly. Within a few years, I had to stop exhibiting. So he was painting before. And so at age 30, he started losing his sight. So now he's totally blind.
You know, I knew that you were saying blind, but I'm wondering why his name and where he's coming from, because he's Hawaiian. So that's how screwed up.
Not Hawaiian. He's not Hawaiian. He's Scottish. Where do you get Hawaiian?
Right, but I connected what everybody was saying and said he was a Hawaiian blind artist.
All right, well, he's not. He's Scottish.
I got it now when I read that.
Okay. Yeah. This one assets moved away. Oh, it's okay.
It's actually an unusual name. I wonder if he was born with it or went blind and decided to go salmon.
I don't know. No, that's not him. Terms, it doesn't say much about his process here. Who helps him? Looking for that.
Well, are some of the pictures we're seeing from before he became totally blind? Because there's quite a difference in the sort of abstract ones, but I still would think he needs someone to say what the colors are. Unless he has their names in Braille or something.
Oh, I bet he does. Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet he does. So he's one.
Wow.
Let me see if he says anything. So there's some of them are pastel. So he's got
Beautiful.
the images of the land in his mind because he had said,
Yeah.
there's a guy we're going to look at who was born blind with no eyes. And he's drawing landscapes, painting landscapes. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about the actual process of working here.
Yeah.
But I love these. Like I said, very Turner-esque.
Yeah.
This one's huge, the one he's standing.
Ah. Oh.
Yeah. It doesn't get larger.
Wow.
He says, one thing I'm enjoying, the thing about my is of using sound, and there's a chance to have it, the technician, something about, he lent me a sound recorder, suggested I should take it with me when we're not walking. I made all sorts of recordings as we wandered around. I quickly learned, trying to think how he's blending sound and visual work. It's not real clear. Okay, that's him. One of them.
Wow.
I'm gonna keep this this page up. That says 10 paintings. Next one is a guy named John Bramblett. So here's a video we can look at first. 4 minutes.
I've had epilepsy all my life, and then I had a series of really bad seizures, and I lost my eyesight. I thought my life was over. I thought everything good in my life was done. But painting had helped me find a happier sort of way, and I became to realize that you didn't need eyesight to be able to create art or appreciate art. You know, art is something that's in your mind, it's in your heart, it's something that is eternal. It has nothing to do with your eyesight. My name is John Bramblett, and I'm a painter. Well, before I started painting, I paint it in my mind. I try to figure out what I'm going to do with it. And I usually paint to a system. Like I break a painting down, so I have different steps that I'm going to take to finish a painting. If you're sighted, you're going to use your eyes to know where you are and what you're doing. But if you're visually impaired, then you're going to use your hands to do that. I started learning orientation and mobility. That's where you learn how to use a guide dog. I thought whenever I was able to do that by actually going through a city using just your touch, I thought, well, surely I can get across a canvas. So I started laying the lines on a canvas in the same way that I would travel in a street. two lines crossed, there's only one place on that canvas you could be. So it's like a map in my mind. I know exactly where I am. I don't know. It just makes sense in my brain for some crazy reason. When so many other things don't. For some reason, painting does. With color, I just either I put the paint in a tube that I know what it feels like, a bottle, or I braille the sides. But then I'll also change the way the paint feels. I use different mediums so that whenever the paint is on the palette, each paint actually feels different. You know, I started painting for a very specific reason, and that's because it didn't make sense. I felt like people didn't understand me. We're like they didn't know how much I understood. You know, and I wanted to tell people that I was still in here. You know, hey, I'm still here. Painting forced me to slow down. You know, to where you're only thinking about the paint on the end of your brush. You know, you're not thinking about anything you lost. You're not worried about the future. It's just that 1 microsecond, you know, of the paint going onto the canvas. That's all you can think of. And then when you leave the easel, you're a lot less stressed. Hey, sweetie. Thank you for running to the store, baby. Hey, Jack. What is this?
Turkey.
Oh.
It's upside down also.
Oh. I'm happier now in my life than I've ever been in my entire life, sighted or not. Life's more colorful. But one of the most incredible things, though, is that I never really thought I'd have a family, you know. But I met my wife after I lost my eyesight. I'd been painting a few years, and we had this amazing son that I never would have dreamed of. Life is crazy. It's just brilliant. You know, you try to plan it. You know, you try to come up with all these plans and try to figure everything out. And it's impossible. You know, sometimes you think something that's going to be terrible turns out to be something that, in hindsight, was a blessing. That's really all you can do. You know, you just live your life every day, and you know, and as long as Jack and Jackie are happy and everything's going on, and I've got paint in my tubes, and it's good to go.
Right. I have another site with his paintings on. No,
That was very inspiring, I have to say.
yeah, they all are. Yes, they. It's just I have more of his paintings somewhere, but you can only put one. This works. Maybe this works. Oh, yeah, I thought I put this up there. Okay. It's very powerful. Look at that. Easy. It's fascinating how he said you can even sense the different tactile quality of the different colors. So you develop a vision and touch and sound, all are interrelated. They're not separate.
This is still, just to get it clear, this is still the same guy that
It's the same artist, John Brown.
it's wow.
Stay with that one. Miami Vice. It's amazing. This guy would get the human figure accurately. Face. He lives in Denton, Texas. And his work's been sold in over 120 countries. And he's appeared internationally TV, print. I think he's like an inspirational speaker too on radio. It's been featured in the New York Times, Psychology Today, etc. Yeah. Prior to his blindness, he studied at University of North Texas. He graduated with honors. He lost his vision in 2001 due to complications with epilepsy and Lyme's disease. Oh. So he's learned to distinguish between different colored paints by feeling their textures with his fingers and raised lines. It's almost like Braille in a way. The painting itself becomes like a Braille. So he didn't start to paint until he lost his sight. Unlike the salmon, he was a painter before. He didn't start painting until he lost his sight. It's incredible. So, yeah. So a video, another little video. Let's see what this one is. Video. It's fascinating watching him use two hands. He's got the paintbrush in the right, and his left hand is a guide, like a guide dog. I want to watch one morning. Oh, okay. Let's watch this one. 20 seconds. Also, I want to get Number 3. A surf Armagan, 1953, from Turkey. He was born blind. So that's amazing. He's never seen the world. As a child, he taught himself to write and paint using Braille to create an outline from drawings. He became especially fond of using oil paints as a medium. His paintings, many of which are breathtaking landscape, his work has been featured in more than 20 exhibitions around the world. So this video is called Esref Armagan, the blind man that can paint.
You know, it makes me think, I wonder if these people don't just tune into a life where they painted and have the skill. Yeah, and now they're challenged.
Yeah, could be.
Amazing.
In Turkey lives the most remarkable painter, Esref Armagan, an artist born without eyes.
No one can call me blind. I can see more with my fingers than sighted people can see with their eyes.
Esref proves that you don't need eyes to see. At the University of Toronto, perception and cognition psychologist Dr. John Kennedy is investigating the abilities of an astounding man, Esref, the blind painter.
Esref is a blind man who has been drawing pictures since he was a child. He draws astonishingly well. Many people would say he draws better than many sighted people. Esref lives in Turkey.
Esref Armagan has a genetic mutation that caused him to be born without eyes. This seeming defect has given him the most remarkable power. While he paints a landscape he cannot see, this artist is changing everything science has assumed about vision. Esref has never seen light.
Into picture is that I start by imagining shapes that I have already felt. Then I form those shapes into the painting I want to create. I make a plan of the picture completely in my head before I start to draw it.
What's astounding about Esref's paintings is his use of color, shadow, and composition. And most importantly, perspective. The way he draws objects receding into the distance. It is not meant to be possible to paint such recognizable and well-composed images without eyes. At Harvard Medical School's Neurology Center, scientists are mystified by Esref's abilities. They want to scan his brain in order to find out how he does it.
Esref is doing something that we thought was locked in the visual brain and was only possible if you had visual input.
And it's the way Esref grapples with three-dimensional space that has the scientists particularly excited. But Esref wishes that people would pay more attention to what he paints, not how he can paint. He wants to be known as a great artist in his own right.
I want to be remembered as a person who was able to see the world with their fingertips. I want to be remembered for my art.
But for now, he's agreed to help the scientists. And Dr. Kennedy has devised a most ambitious experiment. He wants to find out if Esref truly understands perspective.
And my experiment is going to be asking Esref to draw a particular building in Florence, in Italy, that was the source, the origin of the discovery of perspective, how we show depth in pictures.
In 1413, Filippo Brunelleschi stood on the steps of the Duomo, the great cathedral he designed and built. He looked across the square at the baptistry, an octagonal Roman structure. It was this building that finally unveiled to him the equation for perspective. The complex geometry makes it extremely difficult to draw, even if you can see.
Can he tackle a complicated object like the baptistry and handle all its parts and draw it and get all three dimensions of space and get them right? If he can, this man is astounding.
Esref, the blind painter, has arrived in Boston. He's agreed to meet the world-renowned neurology team at Harvard. They're amazed by him and want to know how a man without eyes can paint such incredible pictures using scale and perspective. Their experiment will involve putting Esref in an MRI scanner, asking him to draw and observing the activity in his brain. Esref must remain as still as possible so they can get a clear image of his brain. As he draws a picture, the scientists are riveted by what they see on the monitors. Regions of his brain that shouldn't have any activity due to his blindness react in an extraordinary way.
The visual parts of the brain, the ones that for normal sighted people light up like Christmas trees when we're looking at things, those became alive and excited and incredibly dynamic whenever Esref was thinking of drawing in perspective.
What Esref's MRI results reveal is something groundbreaking. Esref's brain shows us that vision involves more than just the information brought in through our eyes. Vision, it turns out, also involves our ability to understand space.
Bravo! What Esref is showing us is that we misunderstood vision. So we thought pictures are creatures of vision because they're dealing with distance and direction and angle. And now we realize all of those things are available to touch as well. And so we can have tactile pictures as well as visual pictures.
As Wim forges through the frozen wasteland, a blind man from Turkey is going to attempt to outdo Filippo Brunelleschi, the most important architect of the Renaissance.
I'm going to ask Esref to sit here where Brunelleschi was and draw this building.
John?
Esref, how are you? How nice to see you. We have so much to do. There is a really interesting building right beside us, and I'm going to ask you to draw it. First, we got to find out the shape of the building. There's the side, right? Then you come to the corner, and then it goes at an angle.
Esref has been given no prior clues about this building. He's entered into this experiment without knowing what he was going to be asked to do. What Esref must do is draw the sides of the baptistry upwards and downwards so that the lines converge on the horizon. This is what Brunelleschi did, and this is what even now most sighted people get wrong.
Okay, Esref, what I would like you to do is to draw the baptistry as if you're standing in front and the roof is far above your head and you're in front of one wall of the building.
I'm you.
Okay, go for it.
For Esref, this is the moment of truth. He must draw the bottom two lines converging upward towards the top. Esref Armagan has just set his place in history. He has outdone Filippo Brunelleschi, a Renaissance master.
Okay.
Bravo, bravo, yeah. Çok iyi yaptın.
This is a moment that happened first 600 years ago. The next time it happened was today.
Whoa. Some of his paintings and drawings here on Google Images. Can't really, if I enlarge it, it goes to a website and then I gotta go back and forth. And, so I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, there's a childlike quality to them. Look at that, you know, the fruit, and vegetation. Beautiful. Fish. And several fish paintings. And that fish playing a cello with a fish orchestra. Oh, here's some seascapes. So he's even more astounding because he never had sight. You know, the other artists went blind later in life, so they had the visual memories of the world coming in through their eyes. They had that in their memories. He didn't, at least not from this life. Yeah, look at this one with the receding. That's amazing. The bridge receding into the background correctly in each of these openings gets gradually small, but he's done it perfectly. Except for there, it's a little bit big, but pretty amazing. Right to the vanishing point. There's a vanishing point here in painting. He's got the relative size of the sailboats in relation to the bridge. Pretty accurate. All right, so Ezra.
So when was he born? Is he still?
Yeah, okay, hold on. Yeah, he's still, let me go to, there's a Wikipedia page on him. Nope.
Well, they are charming. He is charming in his art, that's for sure.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all confusing.
Esref. Oh my God.
here. He was born in 53. So he's still alive.
53.
Married, has 2 children.
Uh,
Well,
um,
he was invited by Volvo car manufacturer to paint the new model S60 as part of a social media campaign. Yeah, cool. Uh, Next one. Sergeant Man, British. He died in 2015, was born in 37. He lost his vision in his 30s due to cataracts in both eyes. So prior to becoming blind, he considered himself to be a landscape painter. And after losing his sight, he became skilled at portraits. So that's interesting. And he particularly liked to paint his wife, who he said he could see through touch.
T-Mobile covers 99% of people in America. So when we say we have your town covered, we mean it.
My name is Sagi Man, and I'm a painter. I now live in a little town in North Suffolk with my wife, Frances. For 25 years, I've been registered blind. My desire has always been to make paintings, to make visual metaphors for my experience of reality. In the early 70s, when I was 34, 35, I got cataracts in both my eyes. Then in late 79 or 80, I had a retinal detachment in my right eye, and then my left retina detached. With each operation, my sight was getting worse and worse, until an ulcer on my cornea perforated and the eye sort of exploded. And that was the total blindness which I had been trying to prepare myself for years. The idea of painting when you were totally blind seemed a nonsense to me. And so when I came back from hospital, I remember standing in my studio and thinking, you know, now what? I thought, well, I've got this canvas stretched, ready to go. I've got all this paint and my brushes, and I thought, I wonder what would happen if I give that a go. So I brushed ultramarine up there where the sky was, and I had the most extraordinary sensation. I saw the canvas go blue. I painted for about an hour, and then my daughter was sort of walking by, and she said, God, Dad, that's beautiful. So I thought, well, there you go. There is painting after blindness. And I've been doing it ever since. Pre-total blindness, I would say I was a landscape painter. And as I got blinder, figures at touching distance became more important. Now, what I had from painting previous paintings with standing figures in was this cardboard tube. It's the height of my wife, and that bit of blue tack marks her chin, that marks her waist, that marks her knees. And I then marked down this standing figure on my canvas, the different heights which correspond to those positions. So I begin to build up a drawing in blue tack. Okay, now the first thing is to find myself. Now the thing about these bits of blue tack, of course, is that what they are actually is coordinates. They're not all the same size, and that helps me to find myself, because certain places I put bigger bits.
Well, I'm Christopher Burness, and this is Cadogan Contemporary Art Gallery in London. And on the wall at the minute we have paintings by Sagi Man. Since he lost his sight, we have had 3 exhibitions of his work, and they've all been wonderful. We have a lot of really well-known collectors who have his work, extraordinary people like Steven Spielberg and Daniel Day-Lewis. Bruce Springsteen was in the gallery last week. Beyond that, we obviously have major, serious art collectors who collect Sagi. This painting is actually now sold, and I suppose prices of this size of painting is now around the area of about £50,000. They're not cosy little conventional paintings. They are edgy, dangerous, they tell stories, they're full of impact through colour. I think they're very individual. It is astonishing, and I can't really fathom it. And he is brilliant.
I had to sort of reinvent painting for myself. It seems sort of more or less impossible, but if you're just determined to keep going, you know, you don't need to give up. Because if your subject is your own experience, then as long as you're having an experience, you've got a subject. And that has turned out to be true even into total blindness.
Visit sweetwater.com for the widest selection of
What's that?
music gear at the best prices. Experience our award-winning customer service.
Yeah, that was it. I really like his paintings. I think so far he's the most professional.
I'm in Hyde Park in
Love
central.
that style. I think I've got some more of his paintings to look at here. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, I wonder if Lynn had been was aware of this man.
I have no idea.
Yeah, neither do I. It would have interested him though, but at the time, this fella may have still been a bit sighted. How do you pronounce Sargi?
Sargi.
The last name is Man.
Oh.
Wow. Cool. Amazing. I never heard of him.
Me either. But I love his work. I really do. I think it's
they're beautiful.
Yeah, and very, very modern. The way he doesn't elaborate on the face, but he's got his sense of color and composition. The compositions are incredible. The arrangement of where the figures are, his use of blocks of color as part of the composition. Suggestive.
And who mixes his paints? How does he?
He mixes it himself. They all do. They're all mixing. Every one of them. They don't have anyone sitting there mixing their colors.
I mean, he's mixed his paints enough that he knows what he's. I mean, I guess he knows, or he may, or whatever.
Well, he was painting for a long time before he became blind, so that background experience.
Yeah.
I know if he's creating a tint, mixing white in with red or any other color, he knows maybe how much white he needs to use to get it to a certain shade that he wants. So he's done that before. But there are all the figures. He wasn't a figure painter before he went blind. You would think it would be the other way around, that he would go from figure painting to landscapes, which is actually less challenging. So I went the opposite direction.
Are these all post-blind?
Yeah. I think so. Painting's 2009.
Shadow, that one person's shadow on the skirt of the lady off in the distance. Did you see that? The shadow on her skirt of the person.
Yeah, there's a shadow.
Around the back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's subtle.
Same with the lady in white sitting with her knees up in a white dress. Yeah, brings the shadow.
Looking down on this person, he's like at the ceiling level looking down. That's really unusual. I wish I could paint like this. I think he's amazing painting.
These are like prayers, these paintings.
And I don't have this abstract quality because the blocks of color usually kind of like as it yeah, let's see.
Thanks, Joe. This
2008. They're large too, 68 inches by 26 inches. He became a better painter after he went blind than he was before. Amazing. And it seems, just a person in a chair, a person standing, sometimes more than one, but this whole series is one person. I'll look at one more series. 2000, let's do this one. All right, amazing. I love his work. Next one is Michael Williams. And after I do Lennon. Okay, nice. Born in 64. Let's see what it says about him. It's a native of Nashville, and he suffers from a form of macular degeneration called Stargardt's disease. He began painting as a child and did not let his loss of vision deter his dreams, stating that for artists, insights are far more important than outsights. He's won numerous awards for his contribution as a visually impaired artist, including a congratulatory letter from Obama, and featured in several exhibitions, US and London.
Joe, it says here Sargi is from the United Kingdom, well, from England, and he died in England.
Right.
I thought the video said they were in South Africa.
Really? Now I said it, I got England.
Did you? Well, I misheard. So, excuse me for interrupting. I'm sorry.
He's from England. That's where he's stayed his whole life.
When you find out that your vision is impaired, it doesn't hit you much until you reach your teens. And at the time that I was growing up, I tried to be as normal as I possibly could. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't quite know exactly what was going on until you go to the doctor and they tell you that you are vision impaired. I refused to accept it, and I continued to try to pursue things like sports as well as band and playing the drum. And when that didn't pan out, then I decided to try to pursue art. And at the time, I was watching my mother paint, and she was doing a landscape painting. He has been drawing ever since the age of 9. She used to live in Cleveland, Ohio. The teachers would pay her to do backgrounds on chalkboards. When she came here, she would still pursue her interest in art, and it hasn't stopped since. When I saw what she was doing and how it was so detailed, I decided I knew that I had to try to do it, and she was amazed by what I was doing, and she persuaded me that art was my calling. Most sons pursue interest with their dads, but in this case, I pursued interest with what my mom was doing, and because of the fact that it was something to try to impress her that I could do it, and that I was able and stubborn enough not to let her down, and I continue to do it. The very first art show that I had was at the Casa Library. When people decided to go ahead and purchase some of my art pieces, then I knew that they knew that I had something going on, and they decided to get me involved in some of their other art shows at the libraries. And I've done some paintings, and even though they may be paintings that I've made up at times, and individuals say, well, I've been there before. I haven't, but to them, they may have been in that area, and I just so happened to capture some of the essence of that area. When you do that, and you convince someone that you've done the job, and I think that's what artists do. We try to tell a story. The International Association for Sight Impaired Artists was started back in May of 2012. You have a city that has 70,000 individuals who are blind or vision impaired. So I decided to push the idea with a couple other organizations. We got together, we put together a board which would consist of 6 individuals. We sit down, we talk about ideas. It's about the challenge. When the public see that you're vision impaired, they feel like you can't amount to anything. One of the things I always tell them that I'm vision impaired. People look at me and say, you don't look like it. Well, how is an individual who is blind and vision impaired supposed to act or look like? There are times that I can't tell different shades of reds, blues, or greens, and I'll try to come as close to whatever I'm trying to paint. Sometimes I may have to improvise whatever color that I'm trying to do or trying to put on here. And it does have its challenges. When the person tells you that they find that it's amazing that you're a vision impaired artist, and yet they tell you that they can't draw a straight line, but I tell them that's what rules are for. Some paintings may take a few weeks to do, some paintings may take up to a year to do. It's just that I feel the need to express myself in a more detailed fashion. And at the same time, I enjoy doing that detail because of the fact that it does show everybody that just because you're limited in sight, you don't have to be limited in insight, having the ability to see within how to create. When I get the canvas, I sit down and either can sketch it in or I just start painting. But before I start the process, I'm already visualizing how I want that painting to be once I finish. And the process, of course, does involve having a lot of lighting. The canvas, of course, had to be pretty large in order for me to be able to see how to put my details in. But the other process is to be able to capture what you want to actually say from up here onto the canvas. That is a big challenge because you're not able to go outside and say, for instance, I want to paint a flower and I can't see it clearly because of my central vision. So I have to imagine or go and capture photographs off the internet, or maybe take some photographs myself. When you're sight impaired, people don't seem to think that you can do anything or you can amount to anything. And I'm here to prove that that's wrong.
Michael Williams.
Yeah, we got something else for here. Yeah. Painting. Spider. Huh. Inkjet on canvas. Square moon. Oil, acrylic, and inkjet. Permanent green. Oil and enamel on canvas. Great sense of composition, flow, and color coordination. Child.
Huh.
Small GW2. Oil on canvas. Puzzle Dad series. Oil, acrylic oil and ink on linen, 2015. Struck Set 2020. Truth About Painting 1. Take 1 or 2 tablets every 6 hours if needed. I don't know what that CVS was. Just say painting truth. Huh. That's part of painting. I'm just going to click off it.
What a mind that guy has. Wow.
I know.
Ah! Wow.
Let's see. Oh, as an abstract painter, he's excellent. This is brilliant.
Wow.
Oil and kit on canvas. No, it's really good. Look at that. New feel. Complex. Layers and
Joe, what does inkjet on canvas mean?
inkjet is a printing with your printer. So you can you can do that. You can have the printers print on canvas. You can just provide the image, and then and put the canvas on. There's special printers that will put the paint on based on your.
So he creates this painting on the monitor?
Yeah, I think he creates this image on the computer. So it's computer art, and then it gets printed out by inkjet printer.
Okay, and then sometimes he'll add oil or acrylic, as we see here. I get it.
Yeah, it's yeah. So
He's amazing with his blocks of color, so wonderfully balanced and everything.
it's got excellent sense of composition and color coordination. Amazing. I mean, very advanced abstract painting. Yeah.
That's great.
Must have a, like Lynn did, he must have a tiny little bit of vision because with getting up close to the canvas and with the magnifying glass. So it's probably not 100% blind, but channel her down, saying the aliens.
Had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Great.
Whoa.
Yeah, the painting that we were watching him create was so different from all of these.
Yeah. More advanced, I think. So. God melts planes. That's a great title. Look at that. God melts planes. He's talking about airplanes or the planes of consciousness.
Yeah.
Wow. God melts planes. That's great. IKEA, be here now.
It's interesting. It's almost like so dimensional, like he's painting something and something so busy. So
the complex layers. There's so much going on at the same time.
And that it's so perfect though, the sense of humor, be here now and all this going on. Oh my God.
These are big canvases. These are really big.
101 by 71 inches. So 8 feet, 8 feet,
Jeez.
7 feet, 6
Well, that's so funny how I'm flushing my toilet this weekend.
This one, maybe I wiped the boogie on your coat. Came off as serious in the interview, but he's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah. Scooched. What does that word mean? Stolen?
I have no idea.
It's slang, scooched.
Back to it. Okay, wow. Impressive, very impressive.
Wow. Look at this. Look at that. I love that. Wait, let me see the tire again. That was just really ever. Look at the tread taking off.
I know,
Like
like just about to run over a tarantula, it looks like.
Yeah, but they also look like treads too.
Or maybe the tarantula is just escaping at the last second.
Funny.
It's an alley too. Got the car mate there. It's an alley. Huh.
Wow.
I'm trying to get back to the home page. Might be something else of interest there. Let me go back.
They're all interesting and they're certainly funny. How could he ever lack for a subject? He has so much going on.
So what else does he have up here? Now let's get to video. Let's just get a little more about his bio. Born in 78, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. He lives and works in LA. He's got a BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts from Washington. St. Louis. Here are all his solo exhibitions, group exhibitions. Oh, lots and lots and lots of this. Amazing.
Wow, he's so active. Frog. Let me see, frog.
Articles about him in various art journals, etc., publications.
Look at the draw.
This is just 3 minutes. Let's watch this. Opening like so. New Zealand.
Oh, look at that, it's moving. Wow.
There's a lot of ones we were looking at.
And then somehow he just reminds me of Frida Kahlo stuff, that he experiences this incredible intensity, and he just paints whatever he wants, you know.
There's a pop art element to his style.
Oh,
Good cow.
look at how he shaded that sky behind the cow. Is that the one that's called Kid?
Yeah, I think so. Child.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it kind of calmed him down.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, there's the tire and the spire.
Ah, wow. I love the elbows. So is that part of the exhibition that looks like the tires turning, or is that just, it's not turning now?
Not sure. Yeah.
It looked like it was revolving.
I
I love that lighthouse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good video, good close-ups, and I like that one, that green, and I like the balls. Oh.
He could have been a stand-up comedian.
Green stars outside on the wall. Right.
Man.
Oh, fell up there.
What's the title of that one that looks like a moth, a couple of moths?
I don't know. Under something.
Wow.
She's got a great imagination too. It's just
Wow.
complex.
Yeah, I was just wondering where he got his ideas.
I don't know.
Well, it's funny, you know, in Indian they say lack of something, but lack means lack. The Indian way, lacks of ideas. You know?
That looked like his Guernica.
Yeah, it did a little bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Michael Williams, American, Afro-American. All right, let's go. In the middle of these, I just put Lynn. For those listening who don't know, Lynn is was a Myrtle Beach painter, disciple of Mayor Baba. And some of us here were friends with Lynn. Well, he's dead. He died in 98, I think it was. 97, 98. I was born in spring. And Lynn's wife Phyllis just died a week ago. She was a great painter.
Yeah.
She was 96 when she died. Yeah, so Lynn was born in 1926. He died in 1998.
Same as Phyllis, 1920.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Queen and Phyllis are the same age, and they died one day apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lynn, Lynn had retinitis pigmentosa, degenerative. It was hereditary degenerative eye disease that just came on gradually.
That his daughter has, Leslie has it too.
Passed on, right. So here's a selection from the site. And then, all right, so he was based in Woodstock, painting, very influenced in the 50s by abstract expressionism. It was kind of in that circle a little bit, or at least on the fringe. But they were struggling to make a living. And I don't want to go into the whole detail, but through a friend, Tom Riley, who's an also painter, Lynn heard about Mayor Baba and ended up going to India. And his vision is really failing at this point. Now, Lynn went to art school, everything when his vision, as a younger man, his vision was still pretty much intact. Lynn and Phyllis went to India and met Mayor Baba in person in the 60s. And Baba, at one point, one of the visits, had a very bright, encouraged Lynn to paint Baba, to paint him. And he had a very bright light shown on him with Lynn sitting up close. So he had that image of Mayor Baba as clear as Lynn could see, scorched into his consciousness. And then
didn't he even let him feel the face?
Yeah, he may have. Yeah, that's right. May have touched his face.
I remember seeing that. It was astounding.
Yeah, that's, the tactile part is important for blind people. And then came back, he just spent the rest of his life painting Mayor Baba and did hundreds of them. I was friends with Lynn I lived up north. Every time I came down, would have tea with Lynn and Phyllis and talk about art, Lynn was highly intelligent, a philosopher.
Yeah.
Great love of God, super intelligent. Well, Phyllis and Lynn are both super intelligent people.
Yeah.
It's very insightful. Lynn wrote a book about great Western painters and brilliant insights. And so I just love the discussion with him about painting, about spiritual path. It's just very stimulating being there at the Arts House for the teas. And so you can see these paintings are amazing, Lynn's. And then had a way of capturing Baba that he would capture a gesture or look that was very few other painters can do who have tried to paint Mayor Baba.
Look at that one there.
Something unique. And also those, I know I felt this and other people who, if you stand in front of one of Lynn's paintings, it's like alive with Baba's presence.
Yeah.
Living painting of Baba's presence. Yeah. And so, and I think that all came about because of Lynn having sat right there with Baba and got the, Baba said paint me, to order to paint him. So Lynn had something. There's so many Baba painters, including me, that can't even touch Lynn up because if he got that direct order from Baba and had that experience. So Lynn is in a realm of his own. And then there's everybody else in terms of Baba paintings. So
that's the whole family there.
Yeah, it's the whole family. Yeah, that's me and the kids, Leslie and Chris. There's one. I've seen some of these paintings in person. My friends of enemies, they're magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you can see the abstract expressionism influence these blocks of color. Oftentimes, Lynn would have roses strewn around the painting. Kind of combining the semi-realistic roses with the blocks of color, which abstract expressionism. And he's not painting Baba literally, it's very done loosely in this, there's an abstract quality, but, and his skin tone is, and these shades of, so just a color, he was brilliant with color, just brilliant.
Yeah, that one in the Sadra, you could just feel it's the weight of his body or something. It's just amazing.
And the other thing that Lynn was doing, and it influenced me, I'm gonna see, it comes out more in this painting, for instance. A traditional portrait has a foreground figure in the background, and it's duality. Okay, so a traditional portrait through history, through Western art, is immersed in duality. I, thou, subject, object, foreground, background. But Mayor Baba is about oneness. It's all one. There's only God. Okay, there's only one. So that was one of Baba's key teachings and experience. And so I know for Lynn, because I talked to him about this, how do I paint oneness? How do I give that sense of oneness in the painting so I can break through duality? And one way I did it was that there's no foreground background. It's just one here, the color. Baba's emerging from this, it's like the creation of, and it's like the on point, the creation. And yet he's also receding into it, okay? And the colors in Bob, and he did this in various ways. The colors of Bob also are all through the painting. So it's all one thing. So he's disintegrating or destroying this duality, subject object, which is what you see in traditional portrait painting. He didn't do that in all his paintings, but he did that in some. And that had a big influence on me because that's what I tried to do. That was my mission. So the ones that do that, I'll show. Some of them are more, subject, foreground, background, like this one. Yeah, this would be another one, I think, of breaking down the duality. It's all one.
Mm.
The light that's on Baba's is radiating. Baba's face is there behind him.
Yeah.
He's not using conventional skin tones. Look at that pink on his hands, yellow, pinks, pink, orange. Those are not. It's all part of the pain. You know. Same, same thing. Okay, stained glass. And like Baba's part of the stained glass.
These are very good reproductions. I wonder how Tony got the.
Good question. I'm not sure. Good question to ask him. Yeah, and this pose, it's it's unique. This hands, the way he drew the hand.
Yeah.
It's powerful. It gives a great deal of power, but it's not literal. So it's amazing Lynn's doing this as he's going blind. It really is. Towards the end, Phyllis and Lynn work together. Phyllis is sighted, so they I have a Lynn and Phyllis joint painting. And then Lynn did a project where he had 5 or 6 painters all working, him and 4 or 5 others. Jim Frasino, I think Charlie Mills was involved with that. They did the group paintings.
I mixed paint with Lynn for about 2 years.
Oh, that's right, Ralph. Yeah, you did, didn't you? I remember hearing that. What was that like for you?
Well, that was very intense. In fact, it wasn't a result of working with Lynn, but I mean, it was so intense, and like a fool, I didn't realize, I wasn't really aware of that we'd been working for quite some months. And this was when Lynn had been to the South Carolina School for the Blind,
right.
And they came up with they sort of, according to Lynn, as I recall it, together developed method for him to try and paint in his blindness, using someone to give him verbal feedback, upon his questioning, to describe to Lynn. And so that's what I did, but he also allowed me to mix paint,
right,
which was good. I mean, I had no interest in the art of painting.
Right. Okay.
I could look at a picture and appreciate it too.
A little bit about the art of mixing paint, which is
normal human.
Great Argenio is that this painting. It's in his living room. This one. Yeah, it's great. That's good. Wish I had was here to do that. Mix his paints.
You would have really been above heaven, Joe. Yeah.
Here's a good one. Kind of another version of what I was saying, where it's all one. The background, foreground are dissolved, and it's all just one. And so it's a statement of a spiritual truth. There's oneness, not duality, and it's done through painting, and it's implicit.
Tell you the truth, doing the work was like being in the explosion of an atom bomb.
I can imagine. Pretty intense.
The atmosphere was like
a crucible.
Intense. He was suffering, and he was making an effort and feeling, finding his way in new ground. But it did progress.
Yeah.
But he eventually gave up portraiture of Baba and did these big canvases. Like, it would be like 16 feet, 20 feet long, 8 feet tall, we'd make a canvas.
Was that for the Merbach, the Pilgrim Center, the murals on the outside of the?
No, those were they did as a family for the Pilgrim, especially for the Pilgrim Center. But at the time, prior to while the Pilgrim Center Constructed, yeah.
Okay. I love this painting.
Yeah.
This painting is an incredible painting. It is just alive and rich and on fire, and Baba's like coming out of the fire of creation, and it's this abundance. It's almost like the roses or the worlds, or galaxies, and yeah, it's just explosion and beautiful. It's incredible painting. It's just really, I just love this one. This is one of his best, I think. It's like, whoa. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So then and one last thing I want to say, and I talked to a couple painters, Jim Frasino being one, that I had the experience when Lynn died. I just moved back from England. I've been in England for about 10 years. I was living in southern Delaware and was starting to paint a lot more. Every free moment I had, I was starting to paint. And then Lynn died. And I had the experience of getting a push artistically. After Lynn died, shortly after, my paintings got better. And I don't know why. It wasn't to any personal effort on my part or anything. I just sort of reached a new level. It just happened automatically. And I attribute that to like people, and I've talked to other painters who felt the same way. If you had a connection with Lynn, when he died, everyone got a push. I feel I did. I feel I got an artistic push from Lynn as a gift when he died. Yeah, so I really am grateful to him for that. I started selling paintings after that, and I had never before. Like, so, yeah, thank you, Lynn. Not like to the next level. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
All right. So our friend Lynn, and our honor and respect to Phyllis, who just passed away. And I could spend. I'm not going to, but Phyllis was a great artist in her own right.
Yeah, hers are beautiful too.
Beautiful, made a whole very different style. All right, let's move on to the next one. Jeff Hansen. Let's go to the main 10 finish.
Yeah, Lynn's are certainly, they're so focused on Baba.
I can't hear you. I'm getting all, it's getting all broken up for some reason. Jeff Hansen.
Wow.
What's it say? He's a young American artist based in Kansas. He's on a mission to create positive impact on the world through art. He became visually impaired during childhood due to a brain tumor. Everyone's different how they became blind. His love for painting began during his chemotherapy treatment, has continued to flourish. He specializes in acrylic on canvas and enjoys painting bright geometric shapes. All right, I think this is that a video or a commercial hand? Let's see what is this. Does I have it? Yes, no. Okay, so I got this. Jeff Hansen, art story. New tab. That'll keep the other one up.
My art just makes me happy. I mean, it's happy art. It's not low contrast, it's not earth tones, it's bright, happy colors.
In order to understand how Jeff sees through his sore eyes, we look at his art. An optic nerve tumor damaged his vision. We say he sees the world through Swiss cheese. We really don't know how he sees the world, except we see the art he creates, and that gives us a window into his world. He calls it a sight for sore eyes.
Jeff's artwork started with hand-painted watercolor note cards, very simplified at age 12 during treatment, and then discovered, just really by experimenting, the concept of putting texture on the canvas. Now, don't forget, Jeff's visually impaired, and so that sense of touch became very special on the canvas, the texture of the canvas.
Jeff Hansen is an example of what one kid can do. An artist, a philanthropist, and an entrepreneur who, by age 20, has his own business, won Philanthropist of the Year and Entrepreneur of the Year, and gave $1 million to charity.
We hear time and time and day after day what an inspiration he is, and I'm his mom. I'm so close to it. How could that be? Well, it's others realizing and hearing his story that they too can take that adversity and put a spin on it in the most beautiful way to find happiness in their lives.
I want to change the world through art.
And he's making a lot of money.
Yeah, really, I'll say.
Wow.
No, there's another one.
Yes, Jane, the offensive that the Ukrainians have conducted has been described by all.
Yeah. There's his paintings. Whoops, come on.
Are these still Jeff Hansen?
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess 49.
Color.
Yeah, it's very vivid, very incredible color. There's no. Gotta go backwards each time. Yeah, it's got an amazing sense of color.
What was that price? $4,000?
Yeah, 4,000. This one's 3,200.
That sounds cheap for artwork of that kind of.
Must sell a lot of them if he was able to give away $1 million. All right. Oh, yeah. So very thick texture. You see, it's like cake icing. He's slabbing it on there, and I like that. And so working not with brushes, he's working with trowels practically and various tools and palette knives. But look at the consistent stroke, the up, down, vertical strokes here, with a little bit of horizontal to balance and vertical and diagonal to balance out. So primary vertical, and then there's curved lines. So good balance, the directionality, and all that color.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same thing, it's got primarily a horizontal background, and then verticals, and some curves. And
Just lines, vertical.
some red horizontal. Most people, and it's understandable, who don't really have studied art will say about, for instance, they like this, oh, I love the colors. It's usually the color that people comment on. Very few people will say, oh, it's a brilliant composition. Composition is actually, to me, it's more important than as an artist than the color. It's the range, it's the flow of and placement of the main objects or that direct your eye, and you need to be in some kind of arrangement that works. And it's not easy to do that, to get it right, to get it do it well. So I like my comments on verticality, horizontal, and diagonal, etc. Me looking more at composition and then color. Also juxtaposition of colors. He's using complementary colors in this one. Well, first of all, the shape of the canvas, it's probably about 4 times taller than wide, which is gives a very vertical tree. It's like a tree trunk. You know, the whole thing reminds me in a bit like a pine tree trunk in one different color. Pine trees have these large segments with lines through this, like broken up like this. If you look at a pine tree, but yeah, and it's all, you know, vertical moving up. So the verticality is strongly emphasized, and it's all complementary colors, violet and yellow.
Cool colors with some violets and
cool colors too. That's right. Well, the yellow, is mostly cool, but the yellow is warm. The green and violet are cool. Yeah.
Aquamarine is.
Yeah, a little bit of orange there, tossed into subtle. Yeah. Well, this one. All around Amsterdam, tulips, I guess. Tulip festival. That's great. Tiptoe to the tulips, literally.
This fellow's definitely up there, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to hear you compare and contrast him with Van Gogh, Joe. Just for fun.
Really? So, well, you do that. You see some Van Gogh influence?
Well, I'm not sure it's a valid idea. I mean, it kind of goes with like this image showing that's pretty much out of bounds for Van Gogh. I think Van Gogh was more. That's not quite as so impressionistic as Van Gogh, but
yeah, Van Gogh. Well, this is, I would say, is impressionistic. Van Gogh was using short strokes throughout his painting, and not. Well, look, I mean, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Why not just look at a typical Van Gogh? Let me see. But there's a very big difference in how Van Gogh applies. Let me just take a landscape here. This one, irises. And the version of this doesn't want to happen. Yeah, there you go.
These images look muted in comparison.
There's a quote by Van Gogh that says, I find that the most artistic thing there is loving another person.
Maybe there's some, you know, he may have been influenced. That's a good point, though, you make, Ralph. That
yeah, we're all influenced all the time.
Being influenced by Van Gogh, his paintings. This one, he's not copying him literally, but I can see some.
It looks like a photograph. Huh?
Yeah, you made some intuitive connection. I think he may have been influenced. He's not trying to paint exactly like Van Gogh painted. He's doing it in his own way. But I could see that he was probably influenced by him. I think you're right. I think that's a good observation. Yeah. Let's say password. Come on. Oh, no longer available for sale, but they're here. Okay. Heart of Barcelona. These are a little bit like 60s psychedelic art.
Yeah. This guy's a real hippie.
Yeah.
That day in Cape.
This reminds me of a drawer painting from the, when did he paint? 1560, a German painter. He did that close up of just a small section of a field like that. Well, in detail. Um, a little bit more stylized in terms of comparison to Van Gogh. Maybe a little more pop comparison to Van Gogh.
I like the titles. Picnic at Stonehenge.
Yes.
Picnic at
I
or-
am for it.
Didn't Van Gogh suffer a lot from depression and various psychosis?
Who?
Van Gogh.
Yeah, yeah, but that's a whole other story. I mean, it's, well, we did a whole thing on Van Gogh here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had mental breakdown. He was in the hospital, psychiatric hospital wards. And, ooh, that's pretty complex. Geometric structure. So he did, I said somewhere earlier, I was doing geometric structure.
I love this.
Like modern stained glass.
That a photograph?
Yeah.
Oh, these are photographs. These are photographs.
These are like galleries and his work on walls. So he's got a broad range of how he paints. Look at that. There he is. These are, man. Whoa.
Is that a picture of Baba?
Where?
Go back one.
There, where?
What is that? No, that's nothing. On the wall on the right, there was a black circle, and in the upper right-hand corner, at about 1 o'clock off the circle, there was something looked like Baba's face.
Okay. That's Jeff Hansen. Next, Arthur Ellis. Guy's still alive. He's been dubbed the artist who lost his sight but not his vision. Southborough, I think that's England.
What did you say? Said it so
In
quick, Joe.
2006, he was diagnosed with
Lost
bacterial.
Joe, what did you say? You said he lost his sight, not his vision. Is that what you said? Yeah.
It says, I'm just reading that, yeah.
Yeah.
Good quote. He was diagnosed with bacterial meningitis, became legally blind. So it's more than one way to get blind. Yeah. Okay, so I got some samples of his work here. Arthur Ellis. Ray Charles. Looks like pastel. Yeah, there's a pastel. Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Don't know who that is. But the detail, huh? For a blind person.
Just an attractive woman.
Everybody know who that is? Singer. Tom Waits. You know Tom Waits? Anybody?
That's Tom Waits. I never really looked like.
Anybody know Tom Waits, the singer, his work?
Had
No?
a voice like
I can't hear you. It's all broken up.
had a voice like Louis Armstrong.
More so, he's got the most gravelly voice you can imagine. I love Tom Waits. He's a real character. Or maybe I'll play one of his songs, Chocolate Cheeses. That's an ending here because it's very funny. He's got a great sense of humor. So it looks like he's still in pretty straightforward rock star portraits and famous people. Bob Dylan, yeah.
That's nice.
All right. So we got one left. Let me break it up with a Tom Waits song. It's another Tom Waits. Why not? It's only a couple minutes. It's funny.
Yeah.
The Empire has been choking us.
I found someone I think.
Hey, you.
This is a song for those of you in the audience who have trouble getting up on Sunday morning and going to church. I've discovered something that's a candy item. It's actually kind of an immaculate confection. It's there's a cross on one side and there's a Bible inscription on the other, and you put it in your mouth, and when it's gone, you can get up and leave. So, this is something for the kids on Easter. This is called a chocolate Jesus.
Tom Waits. He doesn't always sing with the megaphone, but all right, last one. Arthur Ellis. Yeah. No. What happened to it? They do mention Claude Monet here. I'm not going to do the Monet. Come on. Let's go to Arthur Ellis. Tell me out here, 247. Terry Oakley. Oakley was born in the UK and lost his sight due to optic atrophy. He became blind in his left eye as a teenager and his right eye around the time he turned 30. Despite losing his vision, he continued to paint, write short stories, and advocate for disability awareness.
There are various signatures. The THJ signature within paintings, like the Mike Oldfield guitar signature. You can always tell it's Mike Oldfield playing guitar because there's a specific sound. My paintings have a specific texture about them, especially with the walls and the tracks and things like that. But I always start with the signature first, and any board that has a signature on it has to be completed. It's all based on composition, really. getting the composition as realistic as possible, and then building it up slowly from the initial sketches onwards. I start with a basic outline and then paint from the distance forwards. So I start with the sky first and then come forward.
How do you create your outlines?
With long, narrow lines of plasticine, which you could equate as a pencil line. Just long, thin lines. Not too thin, otherwise it'd snap or break, but something like shoelace width, something like that. I roll it out and out and out until I feel it's thin enough to use. Then I just sketch out, manipulate the plasticine into a sketch. Just basic blocks and shapes, fence posts or gates, walls, foliage, trees, things like that. The colour would come later, but Pam helps in the mixing of the paint, which is the most difficult bit for any totally blind artist.
I'm not sure if that's this one is the one we're just looking at. Let's see. This one. Find out. Yeah, look at that one. It's on the video here.
This thing here, this jumble of pap, plasticine and paint, PAP, get it? Right, okay, is called the Spirit of the Moonbather. The figure is painted in, so the outline of the figure is painted in silver, which symbolises the spirit of the figure. The mass is in and around the pose is a thick piled carpet. She worships the moon, I suppose, and the reflection of the moon is reflected in her spirit, and that's why she's in silver, as is the moon and its reflection, and everything else that is reflected within its spirit. So you could call this a very spiritual painting. And the reason why it isn't a real person, because a real person would be too difficult to paint. As Mike and the Mechanics sing, nobody's perfect. So if anybody's expecting perfection, then they'll have to whistle for it, I'm afraid. I'm not that up on my anatomy to create a perfect nude figure. Kept trying for different designs in the curtain, I don't know, bits and bobs of sequins or different shapes, pentagram shapes or something like that, something in the more esoteric genre, but
that what was it?
Pentagram.
It didn't work out.
No, because it was difficult for me to try and, I could see it in my head, but trying to do it without getting a bit of paint on the thumb where it shouldn't be in the hand, and too difficult. So I just fiddled and faffed about with bits and pieces. She did have an extra joint, which I didn't realise until too late. The way the arm comes down from the elbow and onto the thigh, I had to straighten that out, so to speak. That was too elongated, and she gained an extra joint from somewhere, so I had to rework that side. I've always thought as the painting, Spirit of the Moonbather, to be in black and white. until I became aware of silver and how that can work wonders as a reflective piece of equipment. And of course realizing that Prussian blue dries to an almost black finish. But as the painting was being filmed, I thought for some crazy reason to add more colour might give the painting more substance, might give the filming more interest, and depth. But then I thought, I'm not just painting for me though, I'm just painting for painting's sake. I'd rather paint what I wanted. It's my painting and I want it the way I want.
You did the body twice in different colours, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And the carpet was a fleshy pinky colour, but for days and days you didn't touch it. And then all of a sudden you said, I'm going to do it in Prussian blue and silver. As soon as you started doing it, your mood changed and you seemed to be enjoying doing it.
I knew what I was doing, and I knew what the outcome would be. I let the strands here and there of pinkish purple, I left them in. They're in the hair and scattered about here, there and everywhere. They seem to add a splash of colour from a different angle of the spectrum.
Reminds me of one of the dwarfs in Lord of the Rings. I think that's some other work of his. Yeah. Oh, that's not him. Oh, where is it? Yeah, Terry Hope Jackson. That's right. So he does this kind of also. Does use color. And you got the perspective using color really well. The pale violet, distant mountains, the middle ground of the ochre green, olive green bushes, and desert trees, and then foreground the more warmer colors in the trees. So it's sort of like the trees are like a gateway. It's like a gateway into the mountains, to the distant whoops. I'm gonna do that. Reminds me of stone ruins, Incas or something, the Mayans. Okay, that's Terry.
Very nice, Joe. Thank you.
What? Say that again.
Thank you. Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not done yet. One more to go. One more to go, and then we'll finish. course, Monet had cataracts there at the end of his life, and his vision was going. He was reluctant to get surgery. Cataract surgery was a dangerous thing to do back then, but he did finally get cataract surgery, and it did help his vision. So, but he never went totally blind. But they included him. I'm not going to cover Monet. But here's this guy, Hal Lasco. He died in 2014. What's it say about him? Pixel painter is famous for the visual masterpieces he's created using Microsoft Paint. So a digital artist. He began losing his sight in 2005 due to macular degeneration. He painted his pixel by pixel. He was featured in a documentary, The Pixel Painter. I think that's what this is, 8 minutes, so watch that.
Do you know I do a lot of my painting with my eyes shut? I jumped up out of bed and went to the computer to see if I could do what I dreamed I could do. People now generally call me Grandpa.
Why is that?
Because I'm old and that's what I am.
Grandpa is what they call a lettering man, which means he was a typographer. A typographer's job is to create letter forms by scratch. So you're literally hand drawing A through Z and creating these spec sheets that eventually get used in layouts, in advertising and greeting cards and posters and etc. We got Grandpa a computer probably 15 years ago. I knew I had to show him Microsoft Paint, and once I did, he took off with it. And it wasn't until years later that we realized how important this thing was to him.
When I lost my eyesight, I thought that my painting days were over. The reason I'm using the computer is different because I'm using it because it gives me the benefit of magnifying enough so that my eyesight is good enough that I can still do it. This was one of my first drawings on the computer. So I figure out what I want to do first when it's normal size, and then I just bring up that part. And I work on the detail of that only. See, if it takes me 2 years to do that, I can spend it. I got a lot of patience. That's what you really need anyway, so. Hi, Bob.
Hey, Hal.
I got a new print that I'm just starting. It's Space Highways.
It started out with just one thing. He had no idea how to get it out of the computer. And then once we figured out what he exactly wanted, he would bring more and more and more things in. It was a growing relationship that really turned out well. You can see the actual pixels, the squares in the paintings. Most people want those gone. Hal wants those kept. Hal won't go away. So keeps coming back for more.
Happy birthday to you.
The big 9-7.
You mean I gotta blow those out?
You do.
Yes. Grandpa,
There's only two.
You have to make a wish. Yeah, make a wish first.
Deep
Big
breath.
wish.
Deep breath.
Grandpa, make a wish. Okay.
He will talk to you about art for longer than you want to listen to him. Sometimes he talks about it in his sleep. I don't like to go to his studio downstairs because I can't get out. He just wants to keep me there, wants to keep showing me things, which is fine.
I got two things going. and I'm starting a third one now.
Oh.
And I like this one a lot.
Tell me about it.
It's called Space Highways.
Whoa.
It's a big, this is a small statement about a big subject. You know, it's no longer work, it's fun. When I worked, I always had to do something to please the client.
So now you can have your own creative freedom.
Now I can do whatever I want, you know.
Do you think about your paintings a lot?
That's all I do. Got interested in trees when I used to caddy. All year long they change color and everything.
Yeah.
And then I had a third grade teacher that she taught me a poem. This is poetry.
You remember it from way back then?
Oh yes. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree that looks at God all day and lifts its leafy arms to pray. A tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair. Poems are made by fools like me. I always say paintings were made by fools like me, and only God can make a tree. I'm interested in public reaction to anything that I've done, negative or positive. See, in me and painting in my room, nobody ever sees what I really do.
I mean, I think he's getting stronger, not weaker. Actually, since my mom died a couple of years ago, he doesn't really talk much about her. I mean, I think he is able to just go on. I mean, I think I've never heard him complain about his age or talk about dying at all. He doesn't have that in him.
All right. So there you go. Inspiring, huh?
Yeah.
Incredible.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I know. It's like unbelievable what the it's like Beethoven going deaf and doing his best, creating his best works, his amazing works. Yeah. So I like that research, you know, like our ability to see inwardly is not totally dependent on eyesight, you know, touch, various senses, touch, hearing, smell can be converted into a visual image and are ways of creating a visual image, you know.
But also those interior spaces, it's just amazing.
I mean, and the subjects of the painting themselves, is that what you mean?
I don't know what's going on in the mind, like to have that spatial sense in your mind
I know.
without it being connected visually.
Yeah. Right.
This was truly inspiring because it's just about life and accepting and that's a tremendous thing because I have a friend that went blind. He's not old. Yeah. It's like mega thing, and I just, even knowing that person, I just admire, he's going on, he's trying different things that maybe might help. Because, we are cutting edge in a lot of ways on medicine, cutting edge and really the downside too. But, we're at cutting edge for a lot of things, that Bob has spoken about, like energy medicine. They won't have to slap, cut you open and pull out what's inside to see what's in there. It's like, hallelujah, right? Bring it on, we're in the confusion part of it, but yeah. But this was truly beautiful, just really beautiful.
No, I thought so. I had fun collecting these, watching them. Anybody else before we end? Any other comments?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
I mean, I've been Zooming all day and I thought, can I possibly Zoom more? So it had to be inspiring,
All right, I think next time I'm gonna do, I've covered African American artists, but I'm gonna just focus on contemporary African.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that,
That'll be good.
And then after that, I think I'm gonna do some South American contemporary artists, Brazilian artists, Argentine artists. Although I may do another session on photographers, contemporary photographers. I've done one in the past, but there's more.
Oh, Joe, what about, I consider cartooning not like Snoopy type of, but there are some high artists doing, one of them is Michael Folks. He's passed away now, but his stuff.
Yeah, something worth considering, because I did post it. All right, I'll consider that cartoon.
Oh, good, yeah.
Oh, a girl, her name is Rosalie Dumpy. She has very interesting art that
He's my blind patron.
Right. All right, thanks everybody. So,
thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
all right.
It's a hit. Boom.
We're all blind. We're all the blind leading the
We're
blind.
all blind.
We're all, and a lot of, we're all attached to the illusion. So we're all blind, right? In the end, right? We all think the illusion is real. So all of us.
Oh dear.
Okay. See ya.
Isn't it?